This is a treadmill. We all use it to stay healthy. But 100 years ago, it was a killing machine. Every week, at least a person died because of this. As we uncover the twisted and sneaky history about the killing machines, which are one of the most popular fitness machines of the 21st century, you will discover a lot of very interesting facts. In fact, a civil engineer changed thousands of years of human history. Let's start 2000 years ago on a bright sunny day during the Roman Empire when a huge stone temple is being developed. And at that construction site, you saw this massive wheel like object and four laborers walking inside those. As the laborers walked inside this, a giant stone is being lifted and it is used in the construction like a pulley system. This was called a treadmill. Think of this as an ancient relative to today's treadmill. But as time passed, people inside these treadwheels were replaced by animals like goats, horses, donkeys, etc. And this was a common sight to see during the 5th and 10th century AD, during the medieval period. And when the animals walked, the strength, the force generated was used in agriculture, mining and construction. But then industrial revolution happened during the early 1800s. The steam powered machines and robust engines made treadwheels old and useless. But during the same time, something else also grew exponentially: crime rate. In the year 1840 alone, 20,000 offenses were committed. You might think this is a very small number, but compared to 1805, this was 4 times higher. And we are talking about Britain during that era. Due to this, jailing so many criminals suddenly became too expensive for the government. But why such a steep rise in crime rate? Like always, one of the major reason was poverty. And even with almost zero facilities available in prisons, these prisons for the people suffering from poverty felt like a luxurious resort. I don't mean resort, but you get the point. In fact, many people started committing crime just to get into the jails. The government soon realized that putting so many people inside the prison was not a good enough punishment. And to solve this, to create a more good enough punishment, the government took 3 major steps, or at least thought about 3 major steps. The first was that the jails should look less luxurious to people suffering from poverty. Second was the inmates were sitting all day idle and just wasting time. It was wastage of human resources. So government wanted to do something about that. And third, the government felt that prisons weren't harsh enough to force people to stay out of the crime, even after they get released and they have served their sentences. While the government was searching for a solution, a civil engineer came up with a brilliant solution, at least according to that time. The name of this civil engineer was William Cubitt, and he had built a lot of renowned roadways, railways and bridges like London Railways. He was very well connected in the government as well. He was quite familiar with how laborers felt exhausted when using treadwheels, probably because of his background. Thus, in 1818, he proposed the idea of using treadwheels as a means of punishment. He became so passionate that he had created various designs, but one design in the Brixton prison became so famous that just in 2 years, almost half of the Britain's prisons had those punishing treadwheels. But he made some design changes, like in the original treadwheel, the laborers used to walk inside, but over here the prisoners used to walk on the steps which were made outside the circle. This increased the efficiency so much that at a given point in time, 24 prisoners could walk simultaneously. And these prisoners were tortured and forced to walk on these treadmills for hours at a time, 7 to 8 hours, and they were given just 12 minutes of break after every 1 hour of walking. This caused so much trauma and exhaustion and fatigue that it even killed people. At least one prisoner died every single week walking on these machines. But the government didn't stop there. They continued to improvise, innovate to make it even worse of an experience for the prisoners, like adding a partition between each prisoner so that they can't even see or talk to one another. And the initial purpose was served. The treadwheels became so cruel that once a prisoner has experienced something like that, they would not dare to commit another crime. But as it started growing in popularity, a new problem started to emerge. And by 1901, only 13 of such treadwheels remained. All of them were vanished. What happened? There were 5 major reasons why treadwheels went extinct. The first one, although the idea was to make prisoners more productive, but most of the times these treadmills were not used for any actual output but just exhaustion, just people randomly walking and there was no output generated. Second was, it was heavily criticized for causing deaths, trauma, fatigue. Humanitarians started pushing for rehabilitation rather than just purely punitive measures. Another reason was Prison Act of 1865 and the Penal Servitude Act of 1853, which stopped such cruel punishment methods. Then writers, journalists, everyone joined forces to vote against treadmills and they started actively campaigning, writing against such cruel measures. And finally, as penal systems around the world evolved, people started to realize that rehabilitation and skill building were much better alternatives rather than just punitive torture. So now, even the treadmills have gone extinct and treadmills have not been discovered yet. So what happened? How did we come across in 21st century? Let me tell you that. During the 19th century, physicians found out that health and exercise are correlated. That's when an inventor named Claude Hagen saw this as a golden opportunity and he invented treadmill. In 1911, he even patented his idea for medical training in America. It took another 40 years until in 1952, Dr. Robert A. Bruce, the father of exercise cardiology, created the first motorized treadmill. He used it for cardiac stress tests and this revolutionized heart diagnostics. As people started seeing the health benefits of treadmills, it started becoming like a regular workout machine. Then in 1960, William Staub created the epic Pacemaster 600. This finally looked like the modern treadmill of today as we see it. Soon, Staub, along with Dr. Kenneth Cooper's company Aerobic Inc., the Pacemaster 600 found its audience and the treadmill eventually became a home fitness viral sensation and the sales grew exponentially. While in 1980s Aerobic Inc. was selling just 2000 treadmills a year, in 1990s it was selling approximately 35,000 units a year. And today 53 million people in US, yes, 2000, 35,000 and now 53 million people in US use treadmills on a regular basis. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you next time.